Her lips crashed against his, desperate and demanding. Olivia Chen, the untouchable CEO of Pinnacle Industries, was kissing James Foster, the quiet single father who fixed her computer systems. The office blinds were half drawn, the evening skyline of Manhattan twinkling behind them as witnesses to this impossible moment. "Did that seal our deal?" James whispered when they finally broke apart, his heart hammering against his ribs. Olivia's perfectly manicured hand trembled slightly as she straightened her blazer. "I suppose it did. Congratulations, Mr. Foster. You're now engaged to the most desperate CEO in New York. What leads a powerful woman to propose a fake marriage to her IT consultant? And what makes a devoted single father agree to such a wild arrangement? Stay with me to find out in this emotional journey of two broken people finding unexpected love in the most desperate of circumstances. If you're enjoying this story, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more heartfelt tales that remind us love finds us in the most unexpected ways." 24 hours earlier, Olivia Chen stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of her corner office, watching the city she had conquered. At 35, she had everything she'd ever worked for: a billion-dollar tech company, international recognition, and the corner office that had once belonged to men who told her she'd never make it. What she didn't have was time. "Ms. Chen, your grandfather is on line 1, her assistant's voice came through the intercom. Olivia closed her eyes briefly. Her grandfather, the family patriarch, had been calling daily since her cousin's wedding last month. Each call ended the same way, with his disappointment that his most successful grandchild remained unmarried. "Olivia," her grandfather's voice was strong despite his 87 years. "The board of Chen Holdings meets tomorrow. I've decided it's time to distribute the family shares." Her grip tightened on the phone. The Chen family holdings represented controlling interest in 3 major Asian tech manufacturers, partners that Pinnacle Industries couldn't afford to lose. "That's wonderful news, grandfather. For those who have honored family traditions, yes." His tone carried the weight of centuries of expectation. "The shares will go to family members who have demonstrated commitment to continuing our legacy." Olivia knew what that meant. In her grandfather's traditional view, legacy meant marriage and children. Her cousins, all married, all with children, would receive the shares while she, despite her business success, would be left with nothing. "Grandfather, my commitment to our family has never wavered." "Then where is your husband, Olivia? Where are your children? You chose your American company over your family obligations." "My work has brought honor to our name," she argued, hating the pleading note in her voice. "Bring a husband to tomorrow's dinner, or accept that your portion will be distributed among your cousins." The line went dead. Olivia slowly placed the phone down, her mind racing. Without those partnerships, Pinnacle would lose its competitive edge. The company she'd built from nothing would falter. Thousands of employees would be affected. Her life's work, gone. She pressed the intercom. "Cancel my meetings for the rest of the day. And send up IT. My system is running slow again." 30 minutes later, James Foster knocked on her door. At 38, he wasn't what most people expected from an IT specialist. His broad shoulders and strong hands spoke of a life that hadn't always involved computers. The faint lines around his eyes hinted at both laughter and hardship. "Miss Chen? You reported system issues again?" Olivia gestured to her computer. "It's freezing every few minutes." James moved to her desk, his movements efficient and focused. As he worked, Olivia found herself studying him. She'd hired him 6 months ago after her previous IT manager left. His resume had been impressive, former military, top-tier tech certifications, but it was the single line under personal that had caught her attention: single father to Emma, 8. She'd never asked about his daughter or his past. Their interactions had been strictly professional. But today, with desperation clawing at her throat, she found herself asking, "Do you have plans this evening, Mr. Foster?" His fingers paused over the keyboard. Just dinner with my daughter. It's pizza night. A small smile softened his face. Why do you ask? How much do I pay you, Mr. Foster? He named a figure that was respectable for his position but nowhere near what he deserved given his qualifications. Would you be interested in earning a year's salary for a single day's work? James turned to face her fully, wariness replacing his professional demeanor. What kind of work? I need a husband by tomorrow. The silence that followed was deafening. James stared at her, clearly wondering if the pressure had finally broken the infamous Olivia Chen. I'm sorry, but I think I misheard you. You didn't. Olivia stood and paced to the window. My grandfather controls partnerships worth billions to this company. He's distributing shares tomorrow, but only to family members who are married. If I don't show up with a husband, I lose everything I've built. James ran a hand through his dark hair. So you want to hire a fake husband? For one dinner. One night of pretending. Then we get a quiet divorce in a few months, and you walk away with enough money to give your daughter whatever she needs. How do you know I'm not already seeing someone? Olivia raised an eyebrow. Are you? No, he admitted. But that's not the point. This is insane? Desperate? Yes. She turned back to the window. But I'm out of options and time. James was quiet for so long that Olivia thought he might simply walk out. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft. My daughter asks about my dating life every week. She worries about me being alone. Olivia turned to face him, uncertain where he was going with this. She's 8, and she's already trying to take care of me. His eyes met Olivia's. Her mother died when she was 3. Cancer. Since then, it's just been the two of us. I'm sorry, Olivia said, meaning it. I've been saving for a house. Somewhere with a yard, away from our one-bedroom apartment. Somewhere she can have friends over without being embarrassed. He studied Olivia carefully. If I do this, I want more than money. Name it. I want flexible hours to be there for Emma's school events. I want to work remotely when she's sick. And I want your word that when this is over, my job is secure. Olivia nodded. Done. One more thing, James said, standing. If we're going to convince your grandfather we're married, we need to be convincing. Do you even know anything about me? Olivia faltered. You were in the military. You have a daughter named Emma. And that's it? What's my favorite food? What do I do on weekends? What makes me laugh? He shook his head. No one will believe we're in love if you look at me like I'm a stranger. We have until tomorrow evening, Olivia said, checking her watch. That gives us about 24 hours to become deeply in love. James laughed, a genuine sound that surprised her. I've had first dates that lasted longer than our entire relationship will. Something about his laugh made Olivia smile. Then I suppose we should start with a proper date. Pizza with you and Emma tonight? James looked startled. You want to meet my daughter? If I'm going to be your fake wife, shouldn't I know your child? He considered this, then nodded slowly. All right. But I should warn you, Emma has no filter and asks very personal questions. I negotiate with ruthless CEOs daily. I think I can handle an 8-year-old. James's smile suggested she was severely underestimating the challenge. 3 hours later, Olivia found herself sitting in a small, cheerful apartment in Brooklyn, watching James and his daughter make pizza from scratch. Emma Foster was a miniature version of her father, with the same dark hair and thoughtful eyes, but where James was reserved, Emma was a whirlwind of energy and questions. Are you Dad's girlfriend? Was her opening line when Olivia arrived. Emma, James warned. What? You never bring ladies home. And she's pretty. Emma turned back to Olivia. Do you like Star Wars? Dad loves Star Wars. He has all the movies and makes me watch them even though they're super old. Olivia, who had never seen a Star Wars film in her life, glanced at James for help. Emma, let Ms. Chen breathe. Why don't you show her how we make our special pizza sauce? As Emma enthusiastically demonstrated her culinary skills, Olivia found herself relaxing for the first time in months. The apartment was small but filled with evidence of a loving home, Emma's artwork on the refrigerator, well-worn board games stacked on a shelf, photos of father and daughter at various ages. Dad says you're his boss, Emma said as they sat down to eat. Are you a good boss or a mean boss? Emma. James looked mortified. It's a fair question, Olivia said, taking a bite of surprisingly delicious pizza. I try to be fair, but I'm probably demanding. Your dad is very good at his job. Emma nodded sagely. He's good at lots of things. Except dating. He's terrible at that. James choked on his water. And that's enough conversation about my dating skills. But Dad, you said yourself you haven't been on a date in forever. That's why I made you a profile on that app. You did what? James stared at his daughter in horror. Emma grinned mischievously. Just kidding. But I could. Mia's sister helped her mom make one, and now she has a boyfriend. Olivia couldn't help laughing at James's expression. Your daughter is quite the entrepreneur. You have no idea, he muttered. After dinner, Emma insisted on showing Olivia her room, proudly displaying her collection of rocks, science awards, and the telescope James had given her for her last birthday. I'm going to be an astronaut, she announced. Or maybe a geologist. Or both. Both sounds impressive, Olivia said, genuinely charmed by the girl's enthusiasm. Dad says I can be anything if I work hard enough. Emma looked at Olivia curiously. Did you always want to be a boss? Olivia considered the question. I always wanted to build things that mattered. When I was about your age, my father gave me a computer, and I took it apart to see how it worked. I got in trouble, but then I put it back together, and it ran faster than before. Emma's eyes widened. That's so cool. Dad lets me take apart old phones sometimes. When Emma finally went to bed, Olivia and James sat in the small living room, an awkward silence falling between them. She's wonderful, Olivia said finally. You've done an amazing job with her. James smiled, a genuine expression that transformed his face. She's everything to me. After her mother died, there were days I couldn't imagine how we'd make it. But Emma, she never lost her spark. What happened? If you don't mind me asking. James was quiet for a moment. Sarah and I met in college. Got married young. We were happy, building our life together. Then she started getting headaches. By the time they diagnosed the brain tumor, it was too late. His voice grew distant. I was deployed when she got the diagnosis. By the time I got home, she had weeks left. I'm so sorry, Olivia said softly. After she died, I left the military. Couldn't bear the thought of Emma losing both parents. We moved here for a fresh start. He looked at Olivia. What about you? Family besides the demanding grandfather? Olivia rarely spoke about her personal life, but something about the quiet apartment and James's open expression made her answer honestly. My parents died in a car accident when I was 19. My grandfather raised me after that, along with my cousins. He paid for my education with the understanding that I would eventually join the family business in Taiwan. Instead, I started Pinnacle. He must be proud of what you've accomplished. Olivia laughed without humor. In his world, success is measured by family continuity, not business achievements. A woman's greatest accomplishment is producing the next generation of sons. Hence the husband requirement. Exactly. She sighed. I've never had time for relationships. Building Pinnacle consumed everything. Was it worth it? James asked quietly. The question caught her off guard. No one had ever asked her that before. I thought so, she said finally. Until today, when I realized it could all disappear because I don't have a wedding ring. They talked for hours, exchanging life stories, preferences, habits, all the details that married couples would know about each other. By the time Olivia called a car to take her home, she knew that James took his coffee black, loved thunderstorms, coached Emma's science club, and still missed his wife's laugh most on Sunday mornings. And James knew that Olivia worked 18-hour days, had never owned a pet, spoke 4 languages fluently, and hadn't taken a vacation in 6 years. Tomorrow morning, she said at the door. My driver will pick you up at 9. Bring a suit if you have one. For the dinner? For the wedding? James blinked. The what? My grandfather isn't a fool. He'll want proof. We need a marriage certificate, dated before tomorrow. How are we going to get that? Olivia smiled thinly. I have connections at City Hall. It won't be legal for long, just enough to convince him. James ran a hand through his hair. This is getting more complicated by the minute. Second thoughts? He looked back toward Emma's room. No. But we should be clear about expectations. This is business, right? Nothing more. Of course, Olivia said quickly. Strictly professional. The next morning found them at City Hall with a hastily obtained marriage license and a judge who owed Olivia a favor. Emma was in school, unaware that her father was getting married. Should we have rings? James whispered as they waited. Olivia produced 2 simple gold bands from her purse. Already handled. The ceremony took less than 5 minutes. They exchanged mechanical vows and rings, signed the certificate, and walked out as legally married strangers. Congratulations, Mrs. Foster, James said with a wry smile as they exited the building. Actually, I'll keep Chen. It's on all my business documentation. Of course. Something in his tone made her look at him more closely. Is that a problem? James shook his head. No. It's just. Sarah kept her name too. For professional reasons. An uncomfortable silence fell between them as they got into Olivia's waiting car. We have 8 hours before dinner, Olivia said, checking her watch. We should prepare our story. How we met, when we got married, why we kept it quiet. James nodded, twisting the unfamiliar ring on his finger. We met at work. That's simple enough. But we can't say we just got married today. My grandfather would never believe I'd marry someone I've only known for 6 months. So we've been secretly dating for, what? A year? 2, Olivia decided. We kept it quiet because of company policies against executives dating employees. And we got married. 3 months ago. Small ceremony. Just us and Emma. James looked out the window at the passing city. Why did I propose? The question hung in the air. Olivia hadn't considered this detail. Because, you loved me, she offered weakly. James turned to her, his expression serious. If we're going to convince your grandfather, we need something real. Something that makes sense for who we are. Olivia thought about it. You proposed because Emma needed stability. A complete family. And you said yes because I was tired of being alone. The words slipped out before she could stop them, too honest for comfort. James studied her face. That might actually work. The car pulled up to an exclusive men's boutique in Manhattan. We need to get you a proper suit for tonight, Olivia explained. 3 hours later, James barely recognized himself in the mirror. The custom-tailored suit fit perfectly, making him look like he belonged in Olivia's world of board meetings and billion-dollar deals. One more stop, Olivia said as they left the boutique. Their next destination was her penthouse apartment, a minimalist space with spectacular views and almost no personal touches. While James showered and changed, Olivia made calls, confirming details for the evening. When he emerged from the guest bathroom, he found her standing at the window, tension visible in every line of her body. "Are you okay?" he asked. She didn't turn around. "What if this doesn't work? What if he sees through us?" James moved to stand beside her. The